The national champion is clad in big orange.
The pitch. Swing and a miss. That's the ball game. The national champion is clad in big orange.
Pat Summit and Destiny have met 7 times before. Tonight is number 8.
Tennessee Volunteers have wrapped up an SEC outright regular season title. Connect with
the SEC runs through Rocky Top. Tennessee wins the SEC regular season crown for the second consecutive season.
the 1-0. Indiana, right center field. Rock's on the move. Rock get there. Tennessee walks it off. It's a mismatch. Deep range. Come on now. And don't connect. Rocky trying this time. Indeed. New hand there. Down the middle. Got it. On the fly. It's high and again. And he's going to take it. Touchdown, Tennessee.
Hey, how much fun is this?
Man, Rocky Top. This is college football and it's absolute best.
It don't feel like it, but it's still college athletics at its absolute best. Am I right? Welcome
that's
into
right.
it. Welcome into another episode of the Vols Fanatics Show. Look, it's 2025. We're trying to keep it positive here, even though it does sting a little bit, especially if you've been following up with the basketball games. As the boys took a 1-point loss after missing a free throw to Vanderbilt yesterday, and the ladies tragically another last-second losing game to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt sweeps us at home in the same weekend. It's going to be hard to live that one up as a Vol fan. I'm sure we're going to hear it all year long. Even if we come back and beat them in the second round, we're still not going to not hear from this. But it's okay. We're here. We are live. And I'm Skylar, your host, and co-host Michael. How are we doing on this Sunday, kind of chilly Sunday?
Man, it is an absolutely brutal cold Sunday today, man. The wind outside, the snow flying around, but we're here. We're gonna talk about it, get some frustrations out, kind of talk through some stuff, but
Understandable.
But like you said, this is still college athletics at its absolute best, man. I mean, you can't beat it. This is only the second loss of the year for the men's team. What is it?
That's true.
Third loss for the Lady Vols. So,
I believe so.
I mean, we're still
the Lady Vols,
one of the best basketball teams.
3 losses, and I hope this doesn't become a story. But before we get into it, I mean, because I just got to say 3 losses by a combined 4 points.
Yeah,
that's we got to figure out how to end those games. We got to figure out how to finish. But we'll get into it. But without further ado, I do want to let you guys know who our presenting sponsor is. And that is Chris Smith Insurance. As a homeowner, Chris Smith was once let down by an insurance company. So he started his own agency where instead of feeling like a big company is fighting against you, you'll know that your agent is fighting for you. All insurance is not equal. Trust the Chris Smith Insurance today. Give him a call at 865-272-3387, located right here in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Again, guys, Chris is almost like a broker. He can find you the best coverage for the best price and also be there at your front porch when things go south. And you got to have assistance walking through that claim. Now, a lot of agents have the ability to do that. I mean, of course, there's agents out there that are nice enough, but sometimes, depending on who they work for, are just not able to help you in the claim. Chris Smith is not that guy. He's going to help you through and through. And thank you for besides, he supports us. That should be enough. That should be enough. Give him a call and let's get it going. Now, we got a couple folks in the comments. Tennessee Football 247 was here before we were live, and he said, I said it's sad to be a Tennessee Vol. Maybe today, brother, but it is always great to be a Tennessee Vol. Justin Williams in the house says, so close, just like them Longhorns last. No, I'm joking.
Shot fired.
Yeah, sorry. All losses for both the men and women by the yeah, man. It was at least a good entertaining weekend of basketball, right? And we can get to talking about that. But Michael, you want to give us a rundown and then segment 1 sponsor before we get into it?
Yeah, so rundown for today, we are going to talk about the Lady Vols first today. Going to try to go back and forth on the season this year, which one we talk about first. So Lady Vols first this week, then segment 2, we're going to talk about the Vols. And then segment 3, we're going to talk a little bit about the portal recruiting, but the most important thing is our national championship picks. And spoiler alert for those that didn't see last week, Skylar and I are tied heading into this week.
That's all you could ask for. It's all you could ask for.
Winner take all, man.
All you could ask for. It's been a fun series, by the way.
It's
what we built this show based on as well.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So, winner take all. Let's see who can come up in the clutch this week, because we need some Tennessee Lady Vols and some Vols to start coming up in the clutch as well.
Man, and we'll get into it. All right.
But without further ado, our segment 1 sponsor, it is Optimal Asbestos Services, your trusted environmental consulting firm in Knoxville, Tennessee. State licensed and insured. We specialize in asbestos air quality management for commercial buildings and homes. Contact Jeff Mull at 865-223-3297 or on the web at optimalasbestosservices.com. So Tennessee Lady Vols, they started off this week going up against the Mississippi State Bulldogs. Big victory in Thompson-Boling Arena. We back Pat.
It was an awesome night.
It was awesome, right? You were in attendance.
I was
for this game.
Yes. I loved it. It was very special from the opening, the practice going into it. It was awesome. It was cool to see all the hype videos that they built and the recognition videos, obviously, for Pat Summitt, her story and her dominance in the sport. And then also seeing other coaches kind of obviously respect that, but not just respect it, but truly honor who she was as a person and what she did for women's sports. So cool to see how highly regarded and respected she was just across the conference, across the sport, and across the country. So no, it was really cool. But the Lady Vols came out, kind of did what they needed to do. Slow start again. We're going to talk about that, but overall, never really had like a letdown quarter. And you see what happens when you do that, right? Shot 43% from the field, but look at the difference in the field goal attempts. So this is what's going to make Lady Vols really good or very mid. And it's the fact that maybe their field goal percentage is down, but look at how many more attempts. I mean, they had 14 to 15 more field goal attempts in the game than Mississippi State did. That's going to be key going through the season.
Yeah, and how you're able to get a lot of those attempts, you look on the numbers there, 40 rebounds compared to 33 for Mississippi State. Dead even on the defensive rebounds, 24 to 24. Lady Vols with 16 offensive rebounds compared to 9 for Mississippi State, and that led to so I don't have the list of second chance points, but that the Lady Vols scored points off of those second chance points. So that's a big statistic there that the Lady Vols have taken advantage of all season long, and this game was no different. Just looking down the stat sheet here, it's pretty even most of the way across the board, other than, like I said, offensive rebounds. Lady Vols forced 20 turnovers compared to 12 for themselves. But then the points off turnovers is where it's really different. Lady Vols scored 30 points off of those 20 turnovers. And that's something that they have to do this season to have success. The games that I've seen Tennessee struggle in so far this year, they have not scored off of the turnovers as well. But this one, 30 points off of 20 turnovers, just huge for the Lady Vols.
Yeah, man. Chad, we appreciate you tuning in. Even the comment, you trying to take a shot saying Vandy owns Tennessee, which is kind of pathetic if you think about it. But your definition of own is kind of, I don't know, man. How do they own us? Because they got a couple of 1-point victories over the weekend? Sure, but what about baseball? What about football? What about any other sport other than this one for Vanderbilt to own us? Yeah, they had a better weekend. They were also at home, and we know in this conference, Michael, how important is it to play at home?
It's so important. It's so important to play at home because that environment means something. I mean, we'll get into the men's basketball in the next segment.
Hey, Memorial Stadium was rocking for both games, like even for the ladies. Like I have to give, I got to tip my cap. I mean,
I'll go ahead and throw this comment up there. Igor Milicic, after the game, he said, we were not prepared for that type of environment coming into the game yesterday.
Well, every time he touched the ball, they were screaming air ball at him. Hey, credit to him, though. He drained a three even after that. Like, every time he touched the ball. But no, I mean, owning us, sure. Have a good weekend. Y'all deserve it. But I highly, highly doubt anybody's leaving here saying that Vandy owns Tennessee.
Well, you wouldn't believe how many people I've already had comment on my post from last year on TikTok where I went to the road game.
Yeah.
Saying, oh, Vanderbilt owns Tennessee now. Oh,
and you shared the video of how many people were there. I mean, even in the men's game, you could hear the Vol fans everywhere. It's fine. That's okay. This is about Mississippi State, though, and us protecting home court right here. Look, it looks sloppy at times, but we even mentioned it. And Justin even mentions hit your free throws. That's your favorite acronym in basketball. But for the Lady Vols, we think that they legitimately could be the best team in the country if they play under control. They're so fast that a lot of times it's prone to committing turnovers. And I think that's the biggest problem right now. I mean, overall, I think they played great. You said it was pretty even. I'll say, rebounds, we out-rebounded them. It was completely even defensively, but offensively, we were able to get those second chance opportunities. I think we out-rebounded them on the offensive side. I think it was 16-9. Not crazy, right? But 7 more offensive rebounds. This game was exciting. Wanted to see a little bit higher scoring, but we had several 3-4 minute droughts in this game. Which is happening a lot more. We got to figure out what's causing that, how to get out of that. But overall, it was a big win. I mean, SEC, one thing that I'm going to have to do better about is recalibrating our thoughts, right? Because I mentioned, this little stretch that they were on, basically must wins. Same for the men's. I kind of said that. I got to stop saying stuff like that because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if there's a number next to that team or not. You have to go into that game with the same attitude, the same mentality as if they were a top 5 squad in the nation. Because if you don't, you see what happens as a result.
Yeah, but this was a game that the Lady Vols, they'd never really lost control of the game. You mentioned the first quarter, a little bit of a slow start, and it was 17-15 after the first, but they open up a 26-19 second quarter advantage going into halftime, leading by 9. And it never really was in doubt after that. But you also never felt comfortable that, hey, Mississippi State can't come back from this. Because it seemed like every time the Lady Vols opened up a lead, hey, Mississippi State would kind of chip away just a little bit. But credit to the Lady Vols, they never completely gave it up. They kept their foot on the pedal. And they never let it get too close. And, we got down the bottom left corner. Ruby Whitehorn, big performance with 20 points and 1 rebound tonight. 50% from the field, 8 of 16. But Talaysia Cooper was a story of this game to me. You see the double-double down there, 3 assists away from a triple-double. Just a fantastic game for Talaysia Cooper. She's really come on as of late.
I'll tell you who was a sleeper that I didn't realize would have the game she had was Samara Spencer. Yes, yeah. I wanted to make sure I had that right. I thought there was an I in her first name at first, but no. She kind of popped off, and my wife, we were sitting there. She was like, that might be my favorite player. I mean, she went, 4 of 7 from the 3-point line and also hit her free throws, 4 of 4 at the line. Had a very solid game. Field goal percentage was a little down. She was 5 of 13, but overall, she chipped in 18 points. And what I like about this lineup is, you mentioned it. Ruby Whitehorn with 20, Talaysia Cooper with 16, Spencer with 18, and Jewel Spear also went 4 of 6 from 3, chips in 13 points herself. So, I mean, you have a lot of ladies in double figs, and that's what you're going to have moving forward. I mean, that's what a men's are going to have too. I mean, I hate to kind of compare them both, but you're not going to be able to rely on one person just taking over the game in this offense. Going to have to rely on everybody chipping in and having a piece of the pie, and I think you've seen that in this game.
Yeah, and somebody else I want to shout out as well. She doesn't always have the best night shooting, but you can guarantee she's going to get down on the boards, and that's Z Spearman. I mean, in this game, 7 points on 3 of 10 shooting. Not great, but 8 rebounds in the game. 4 on the offensive side, 4 on the defensive side of the ball. She's just all over the place. But she is very streaky when it comes to hitting her shots.
For sure.
No matter if it's threes, no matter if it's right there at the goal. Yeah. She's very streaky. I mean, we're going to talk about her performance in today's game against Vanderbilt here in just a minute. But this is a team that, very much like the men's, they haven't hit their stride yet. We've seen flashes of where, man, this team can be great. But, there's also times where you see this team still got some things to work on.
No,
and you know what? I am okay with that because we don't want our team hitting their stride at the end of January, middle of January, or 1st of February. We want them hitting their stride end of February, 1st of March. That's when you want to see it.
Still year one under Kim Caldwell.
Exactly.
So the fact that we're this competitive and even some of the best competition. Yeah, Chad, I was going to hit up a couple. He said just before this, he said, I still think the Vols basketball team, I think he's talking about men here, are a top 5 team, but neither team shows consistency. I think that's a good point, but I don't think it's necessarily accurate 100%. I mean, the Lady Vols, I think, are pretty freaking consistent. It's just need to figure out how to finish a game. Like I opened the show with, 3 losses, 4 points separation there. But he goes on to say, we have 4 ranked teams coming up. We need to win the home games. Yeah, that's the story of the basketball seasons. Yeah. Win the home games, defend, go 10-0, whatever the however many games it is. But then go 500 on the road. Yeah. If you go 500 on the road, that's losing 4 games.
Yep.
In SEC, and that puts you square at the top of the conference and a chance to win the thing. So, and that's for both right now. I think the men's are 500 right now on the road. Really let one get away from them. Same with the women's. They really let one get away from them this weekend. Yeah. But like I said, Memorial Stadium was rocking. Woods, Water, and Mizzou said, just checking in on you guys. I know the vibes were high just a few weeks ago. SEC basketball straight up tough this year on the men's side. I have zero opinion on the women's side of things. We suck. I'm sorry, brother. No, this season, and you've heard it all year long so far, just the start that the SEC had in the non-con with like a 93% winning percentage. I mean, it was stupid.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, like the worst team might have been Missouri. No, it was some team that went 9-3.
It was South Carolina.
South Carolina went 9-3, and that was the worst record. And I think they had the sole position. I think everybody else was 10-2 or better. Yeah. It's the SEC, but that's what you expect though. So I don't want to really use that as an excuse. The men's, like I said earlier, and especially with the ladies, you got to go into every game as if you're facing the top of the competition, because any team can get hot at any moment. And I can promise you, as a Tennessee fan, more times than not, you're going to get their best every time they play you for whatever reason. It just is what it is. No, I'm very stoked about the Lady Vols win here. Mississippi State was awesome to attend. We Bet Pat night was as special as it could be, but overall, hoping that it was going to carry some momentum into this weekend's game, but obviously it did not.
Yeah, you got any more thoughts on this game before we talk about today's game?
No, let's move ahead. Chad, dude, we'll get to your comment, but that's kind of more on the men's side. We'll get to that in segment 2, brother.
All right, so today's game, you mentioned it, Lady Vols lost an absolute heartbreaker today, 71-70 to Vanderbilt on the road in Memorial. Last second layup with 0.8 seconds left on the clock after they went back and reviewed it. This was a game that we've kind of talked about this year where you got to find out what you're going to do if the 3-point shot is not falling. And boy, did it not fall in this game. 6 of 26 from the 3-point line. That's good for 23%. Not great. Now, I give credit where credit is due. Tennessee did a great job of adjusting in the second half, trying to have a game plan where you're not shooting as many threes, relying on those threes. But ultimately, you weren't able to get the stops when it mattered. And you see here, you come out with a Vanderbilt victory. I was really, really upset at first on that last second bucket because I thought there should have been a charge call right there at the end. But after the replay, I don't think it would have mattered if there was a call or not, because if there was a call made, it probably would have been a blocking foul against Ruby Whitehorn. I forget who the player was now. I think it was Blake's, the one that had 23 points in the game. She got the inbounds pass, went down the lane. Ruby Whitehorn stepped in front of her. And from first look, it looked like she was set, got run over. No foul call was made. But then when you go back on the replay, you can see Whitehorn kind of jumping into her before she hit the floor. So good no call, but then not boxing out on the offensive rebound and allowing Vanderbilt to get the rebound and put it back in with less than a second left. And, that's all she wrote at that point.
We can talk about the end of the game all you want to. I want to focus this on the second quarter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
You scored 5 total points in the second quarter. To me, that's where the game was lost. We always talk about this team not being able to put together 4 straight quarters, a lot like the football team. All right, and I'm sorry to make these comparisons, but it's so real, so true. On the road, we suck on the road. We continue to do that. But the second quarter, putting up 5 total points, can't happen. I mean, against a Vanderbilt team that I don't even think was playing good. I mean, like their field goal percentage was literally worse than ours. And we out rebound 42 to 40 rebounds just shows you how many shots were missed in this game. Yeah, Chad says consistency. I mean, yeah, I again, you got to finish the game. This put together 4 quarters. Even if they're not great quarters, at least be there. I felt like this team just kind of checked out. Vanderbilt, I think, got out to a pretty good lead after that, going into halftime. And, we recovered. I'm glad, but it kind of seems like, and this might go into Chad's consistency thing, it always feels like the Lady Vols are having to make a comeback here lately. And I don't like that feeling. Can we not just get out to a lead, hold that lead, kind of like Mississippi State sort of, and just kind of keep them at arm's length. Now, I credit the Lady Vols. They did come back, and they did make that shot with 4 seconds left on a great pass. I just wish we could have played some defense. It's so frustrating giving up a last-second shot, and it seems like these teams are, when it comes down to that, they always seem to get it. I don't know, man. That's just my thoughts. The 3 wasn't hitting, but I'm not going to sit here and get mad at Jewel Spear for keep chucking them up because it shows me that it didn't get in her head. Like she kept wanting to shoot the ball. And Jewel Sport, that's our bucket girl. I mean, that I would like her to take those shots. It's just, are the quality of shots she's taking good? I thought they were okay. It's just like you said, that the cap was on the lid tonight. Let's regroup, rebound, look at the film, and take it to, who do they play next?
They got 2 big games this week going up against Texas and South Carolina. So.
Texas is a big game. Texas is a big game. Let's go 2-0 against Texas. The men's got it done earlier. Let's see if the women's can follow it up.
Yeah. Looking down the stat sheet here, something else that jumps out to me is, what are the Lady Vols going to do this season in a game where you aren't able to force those turnovers? In this game here, Vanderbilt, and a credit to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt men's and women's basketball this year, they're no slouches.
They're completely different teams too.
Yes, the coaching hire that the men's made. Well, we'll talk about that in the next segment. But the coaching hire at the men's made has completely turned around their basketball team. The last 2 years, Vanderbilt's women's team has been very good. They gave Tennessee a run for their money last year. But Vanderbilt 15-4 overall this year, right now 2-3 in the conference after today's game. And they only turned the ball over 12 times today compared to Tennessee's 10. I think that's the least amount of turnovers that Tennessee has forced in a game so far this year, which led to only 10 points that Tennessee was able to score off of turnovers today. So my question is now, what is the Lady Vols going to do in a game where they can't force those turnovers? And I think you've got to get good quality looks on the offensive end. And if the threes aren't hitting, don't just completely stop. I mean, like you mentioned today, Jewel Spears, she was 2 of 10 from the 3-point line. But a credit to her, she didn't quit shooting. And she hit 2 clutch threes to get Tennessee back into the game in this fourth quarter.
Yeah, because she kept shooting. And
great
looks.
But you do also have to, kind of like I was talking about with the men last week, you got to find a fine line of, when do I need to try something a little bit different to make sure that we can still score buckets? And I think that the Lady Vols did this in the second half, but you mentioned it, that second quarter, a 16-5 deficit. Vanderbilt outscored a 16-5 in the second quarter. So you go into halftime down by 11, and you can't keep getting in these double-digit holes in SEC play. The teams are just too good.
Yeah.
And that comeback is going to take too much out of you. And you see, once again, like you mentioned, another 1 to 2 point loss. This is the third. All 3 losses Tennessee has had this year have been by 2 points or less.
I mean, really, it's 2 of them been 1 point.
Yeah,
it was one game was 2 points, and that was because they were tied when they got the last second bucket. LSU, I believe.
Yep.
No, Chad said both Vandy teams are good, but I think in Lady Vols and Coach Kim will be a force to reckon with as we go throughout the season. I think they're a force now. It's just, Gotta finish. Gotta finish. That's the story. I mean, this team is literally 5 points away from being undefeated. And like I said, that's not the mindset you want to have. And if you talk to Coach Kim, and she's already stated that, that's a negative. That's a negative because they can't finish. Now, I think it's good to have these losses, these learning points, because the last thing I want to do is sweep and go undefeated throughout the season and lose in the first round of the tournament. Because at the end of the day, we all know basketball. Let Vanderbilt have this win, because at the end of the day, the big picture, this game matters. Don't get me wrong, but like we all know that postseason play is where it's at in basketball, and that's where we want to be hitting our stride, like you mentioned earlier. Overall, I'm still happy with the Lady Vols. It's not like there's any quit in this team. I think for Vanderbilt, if I can kind of swap the topic here a little bit, Vanderbilt's got to be a little bit careful. Obviously, they're not top tier of the league, but they've got to learn how to finish games too. Now, obviously, they got it done here. But when you have those big leads, especially, women's having a double-digit lead, the men's having a double, don't give it up. Don't put yourself in the position to lose the game. I mean, the men's, and we'll talk about it, but they had I think a 16, 18, maybe even 19-point lead at one point in the second half and allowed Tennessee to come back into the game. Don't get conservative. I mean, they were trying to milk the shot clock down, whatnot, but don't stay aggressive and put us away. Don't even give us the chance or the ability to come back. And so, but that's where I credit our teams for being able to do that, be able to capitalize on on that, not necessarily mentality, but it kind of was. It was almost like Vanderbilt was trying not to lose more than just winning. And so it was a great game. Both games very entertaining. Obviously, 1-point victories. I think the scores were like right around the exact same too. But overall, they got the better of us.
But, you brought up a great point there for Vanderbilt, started playing not to lose. Is that not what Tennessee did when they got the lead? They started playing kind of not to lose. I mean,
they had a 5-point lead there for 3 minutes left. And
yeah, the broadcasters kind of mentioned it. This is one of the, they say this is one of the only times that you'll see a Kim Caldwell team kind of slow it down a little bit. Normally, I would say, great. I think that's a great choice. Slow it down, use some clock, but that's not the way this team plays.
No, they play so much better in transition, right? So like getting up and down the court and
you know what? With 3 minutes left on the clock and only a 5-point lead, I say keep your pedal to the metal there.
Have to
keep trying to score. Now, if it's a minute and a half and it's a 5-point game, okay, I can see trying to use some clock there. You're trying to shorten the game at that point, but 3 minutes left. Hey, I want to keep scoring, man.
And I'll say
in this lead.
And I'll say this: at the end of the game, when you get the throw-in opportunity at midcourt, you cannot slip and then cause a jump ball like that.
Yes,
that can't happen. That absolutely cannot happen. That kind of is what really opened the door to everything that transpired that happened. That it was based off that just. You off a timeout, you've got to have a better game plan to get the ball in play and then immediately get the ball out of that person's hands so that you can't get trapped or anything like that. So a little bit of poor execution, I will call that, but because I think that maybe it's a little different if we don't slip and fall there. But overall, like I said, 2 very entertaining games. Vanderbilt got the best of us in both of them. It is what it is. I'm not really sweating over it. I don't think there's any major red flags from these 2 games.
Oh, absolutely
but
not.
It really does lower or it minimizes the mistakes, right? You can't go the rest of the season now. You've got to be, you got to win on the road. You got to, okay, we lost to an unranked team. Let's go beat a ranked team now. You can't have that leeway. It's kind of gone now, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So Mike Seeger, wow, okay. They wimp out too easy is the word I'm going to use there. Thank you so much for tuning in, but sure, if that's what you feel like, that's up to you. That's your opinion. But no, I don't know. I think the ladies were tough tonight. Obviously, you mentioned it. Their goal is to hit the 3-point line in transition and whatnot, and that just wasn't working for them. And they still found a way to come back and get a big lead. You just got to, like I said, got to finish. Got to finish. That's the topic of this segment, in my opinion.
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely. And we'll talk about it on the men's side too. This is a very tough week that the Lady Vols have coming up. You go to Texas on the 23rd. I believe that is that Wednesday or is that Thursday?
I'm trying to pull it up right now. Let's see, 123.
See, today's the 19th, so that would be Thursday. Thursday, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thursday they go to Texas, number 7 ranked Texas, and then I believe that is Monday night. So we'll only have one game to talk about next week.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's Monday night. Next week is next Sunday's the 26th. So just
You're
one
100%
game.
right.
Yeah, just one game to talk about this next week for the Lady Vols with that game against Texas. But, looming beyond that, next Monday, you got a home game against number 2 South Carolina. And these are two teams that I mentioned at the beginning of SEC play that I feel like are better than you. But after watching the Lady Vols, how much better than you are these teams? I think the ceiling for this Lady Vols team, you can absolutely go out and beat any team, and that includes this South Carolina team, this Texas team here. But at the same time, the Lady Vols that we've seen as of late, they can absolutely get beat by one of these teams as well. We mentioned it already. We don't want to hit our stride right now, just be hitting on all cylinders, but you want to be trending that way. I think the Lady Vols are doing that. They're figuring out some things, but we really need to see. This is going to be a good measuring stick to see where they are at this point in the season against these two teams in the next 2 games.
But I think they've already had that. I mean, they played LSU down to the wire. I mean, I think you've seen them how they play Oklahoma, and I think Oklahoma's a good team. Now, obviously, they've dropped a couple since then, but I mentioned it. They had Arkansas, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, and I was like, these are must win because look at the next 5-game stretch. Right. And we can look ahead here because we're fans. I mean, obviously they're game to game, they're game by game, day by day mentality. That's the way they should be at least. But they play Texas on the road. They come home to South Carolina next Monday, but then they do have Missouri slotted in the middle, which according to Skeeter should be a win. Right. Let's count that. But then you go to UConn. You welcome UConn home before you play at LSU. That's a 5-game stretch where 4 of your 5 opponents are in the top 7 of the country. Chad Morris believes that the Lady Vols will upset South Carolina. I 100%. They have to. I think they have, not necessarily South Carolina, but now you put yourself in a position where you have to upset somebody to stay in the talks of best in the SEC, in my opinion. Right? So
yeah, I mean, you got to steal at least one of these games coming up.
I think you got to steal of the 4. Of the 4, I mean, and I'm counting Missouri as a win, but I think you have to go 2-2, in my opinion. I don't know. UConn, I think you can drop, so maybe you could go 1-3 if you win one of the SEC games, right? But
yeah,
either way, I think you got to win these games. You got to find a way to win and get yourself back up at the top of the conversation here.
So right now, just kind of looking ahead a little bit. I'm not going to count the UConn game because that's not a conference game. But of the next 4 SEC games, start, bench, cut, do the Lady Vols go 3-1, 2-2, or 1-3? Because I don't see them going 4-0. Now, if they do, man, we're looking to hop into the driver's seat.
If we're 4-0, you'll be the number 1 ranked team in the country.
Possibly, yeah. But
it ain't no possible. You would be at the top, dude. Literally.
Yeah. I mean, start, bench, cut. What do you think the Lady Vols are doing this stretch? 3-1, 2-2, 1-3.
You're talking Texas, South Carolina, Missouri, and LSU, right? We're talking at Texas, home South Carolina, at Missouri, at LSU. I'm going to say 1-3, unfortunately. And my reasoning behind it is because you're on the road 3 times, but I don't necessarily think you win the home game and lose the road. I don't think that's how it's going to happen. But I think it's 1-3.
So you're starting 1-3?
I'm starting 1-3. I guess I'll bench 2-2, and I will actually cut 3-1.
Yeah,
and I hope I'm wrong, but I think that's just the realist. Maybe I could start 2-2, but I just think
I was gonna say, just to be different, I'm gonna start 2-2. I think maybe you pull out 1. And I'm gonna say that LSU game, the way that you played against LSU at home. Yeah, going on the road is going to be
almost
different.
Gives you the belief that you can at least hang with them,
Yeah. So I'll say that one game could be LSU, but I think that you do pull one of these. I'm not sure which one. So I'm going to start 2-2. I'm going to bench 1-3. I'm going to cut 3-1. If you go 3-1, great.
Yeah, I'd be happy with that.
But man, that's going to be tough to do. That's a tall task.
No, right on. Well, dude, let's wrap up this segment. Chad says I think we lose to Missouri. So yeah, he's just going off of inconsistency. He's saying, yeah, we can lose the worst and beat the best. And honestly, I would normally say that doesn't make sense, but no, it probably make total sense. And
Yeah, exactly.
so no, man, let's move ahead to I guess the men's segment of things. And but before we do that, I want to let you guys know who sponsors our segment too, and that is P&L Business Services. We know firsthand that getting your monthly reporting, invoicing, bill pay, taxes, and other essential business services right is critical. That's why at P&L Business Services, we go beyond bookkeeping by providing you with everything you need in your back office so you can have your time back and the peace of mind to do what you love most, which is building your business. Behind every successful business is a great bookkeeper. Trust P&L Business Services today, and to reach out to them, just go online. PNLBusinessServices.com. They are also located in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and it's coming up on their busy season. So if you need help, reach out to them as soon as possible. Thank you, PNL, for your continued support. Excuse me there. No, Chad. Yeah, I felt like that's what you're going for, Chad. I see you in the chat, big dog. But no, let's talk about the men. So went to this game as well. This was awesome. You know, to start the week, 1-0, you beat Georgia and you beat the dog crap out of them. And I use that term on purpose because we beat the dogs. And it wasn't really even, it was close technically in the first half. They had a 1-point lead. But that
first half was an absolute snoozer.
But
man.
that second half was just pure domination, and Zakai Ziegler had the game of his life, in my opinion. Like, just a complete dog. He was feeling it, and he had the right to feel it. I mean, every time that he had the chance, he was pumping up the crowd, and then he would go down in transition and sink a three, and then continue to pump up the crowd. And I'm like, that man is feeling it right now. And that's exactly what you needed to see, because you scored 74 in a game where I don't even have the stats pulled up, but once again, Chaz Lanier is just a no-show. Am I wrong? Did he have 5 points in this game? Is this the game he had 5 points in?
I believe he had 5 points in this game.
Yeah, I don't have the box score pulled up, but there was one of the games where he had 5 points, and like it's almost like you didn't even know it. It was like the team was still shooting good. Jemiah Mashak was sinking threes, and it was like, man, yeah. Chad said I was at the game as well. In the second half, TBA was freaking rocking. It was, dude. It was good to see as well.
Chaz Lanier with 5 points in this game. And he was 1 of 9 from the 3-point line, 2 of 16 overall in this game.
Does that concern you?
I mean, yeah, I've got some concerns. I mean, in the last 4 games, Chaz Lanier,
I've got major concerns.
Chaz Lanier has scored in the last 4 games 10 points, 10 points, 5 points, and then 17 points yesterday. Now, I do feel like yesterday made me feel better, even though it was a loss. But we'll talk about that game here in a minute. But yeah, after this game, I had some concerns.
No, I have major concerns because it's all been since Rick Barnes came out and said I benched him for not doing what he's getting paid to do. And
well, that happened in this game, did it not?
No. That happened either.
No, you're right. That was the oh shoot.
It was like 3-4 games ago. Texas? No.
I gotta go back. It
might have been Texas. Yeah, it was
Texas. Yes.
Yeah. So and then like that, it started now this stretch of Chaz Lanier not even just having poor performances, but like he's in his head. He's got to get out of it. And this is what I didn't want to happen. But you can kind of tell he's thinking about, I'm coached to take this shot. Should I take it? I don't feel like I should take it. I'm covered. But like at the end of the day, Rick Barnes is like, dude, you're better. Like, even if you got a man on you, shoot it over him because you're still better than somebody else, even if they were open. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only thing. And like, Chad comes in and says, I hate to say it, but I think we put too much pressure on Chaz. But like Rick Barnes said, that's what he gets paid to do. Look, I understand pressure. And if this was just a typical college game 7 years ago, I would 100% agree with you. But this kid negotiated the deal, got the deal, and now he's got to hold up his end of the bargain as well. Like at the end of the day, that's how I feel about it. Look, you can have, pay for play type scenarios, but now you're going to have to suffer the consequences of what that's truly like, in my opinion. Like, it's time to take off the, like, oh my God, it's just a kid. No, dude, he's getting paid more than the coaches are to play the game. Like, it's time to step up and ball out. And you're seeing the rest of the team kind of step up. I'm loving what I'm seeing out of Jordan Gainey. But man, it's just, got to get out of his head, right? Chaz doesn't have that, and we talked about it last week, just doesn't have that dog mentality. He doesn't have that raw emotion like Zakai Ziegler was doing in this game, where you could just see him just feeling it and showing the crowd that he was pumped, excited, ready to make the next play. You don't see that from Chaz. Could be a good thing, but right now it's a really bad thing, right? And so I don't know. I like what I've seen from the team in this game, but this should have been a game where Chaz came back home court, hit a couple threes, got in rhythm, and really had a good. And I'm not asking for 30 points a game. But 5 from your leading scorer, got to be better than that.
Not just your leading scorer, but he was the leading scorer in the SEC. Now, I think now after the past few games, he's probably been passed up. But coming into conference play, he was the leading scorer in the SEC. And
he ain't anymore.
I mean, granted, teams are trying to take him out of the game, and a credit to them for that. But Chaz, like you said, he's got to try to develop that dog mentality. And I don't know how you do that.
The OG, by the way, we're making it very clear. Got to have that dog mentality, not dog. All right, let's make that very clear.
I'm sorry that I've got the Southern accent, man. It sounds like dog. So,
no, I'm joking with you, man.
The thing that concerns me about this team is not. I mean, the Chaz thing does concern me, but the thing that concerns me more than anything is the kind of pattern that we've seen from the Vols. It's, we're just kind of going through the motions in the first half, and then in the second half, we're having to come back out and we're having to fight. Now, luckily in this game, it was just a 1-point deficit at halftime. 26-25 at halftime, and you only had one player on the team that had more than one field goal, and that was Cade Phillips with like 3 or 4 field goals, all of them off of lob dunks or putback dunks or something like that.
Yeah.
But no player on the team besides him had more than one field goal. And then you come out and you score 49 points in the second half. No, that's great, especially when you hold Georgia to 30. But you really need to try to do a better job of in-game first half adjustments. But a credit to Rick Barnes, man. He is one of the best coaches out there. And the second half adjustments is the reason why. Is one of those reasons why. Either way, fantastic performance in this game. And even though it didn't come down to free throws, a shout out to the Vols, man. 100% from the free throw line. 10 of 10 for free throws in this game. So
it's almost like in a game where you didn't need it, you were great at it. We're going to talk about it in a little bit.
Exactly. But you also brought up Zakai Ziegler. That stretch that he had, that was one of the best 4-minute stretches I've ever seen. And how crazy is it that we got to see a stretch of a game 2 years in a row where a player just seems to take it over? I mean, I'll go back to Dalton Connect last year against Auburn.
That stretch, and I'll let you finish it, but that stretch reminded me more of DK than anything Chaz Lanier has done this entire season.
Yeah, the only other, like, I guess, kind of performance I would say rivaled it was whenever Chaz Lanier made like 5 of 6 3-pointers in the first 10 minutes against Baylor earlier this year.
That's fair.
But even that stretch, it wasn't just like a takeover stretch.
No,
like what we saw from Zakai.
It wasn't like back-to-back possessions where it's like, oh my God, this dude's on fire. Like,
Yeah, but I mean that Dalton Connect stretch against Auburn last year of like 8 minutes where he outscored Auburn. That was absolutely insane. And then Zakai Ziegler the other night. But the thing about Zakai is he didn't just do it scoring. Like I forget the exact stats, but like he had 3 or 4 steals. He had
one assist that was insane because he went underneath the basket and then kicked it out to the corner. And of course, I think it was Gainey, and he sunk it. And I'm just like, Zakai felt like he hit the 3. Like it was insane. It was good to see.
But he was 3 of 3 from the 3-point line in that stretch. He had like 3 steals. He had 2 assists, I think. He was just feeling it.
My player of the game,
4-minute
right
stretch.
here, for sure.
Oh, no doubt about it. And not to mention, he broke the all-time steal record for Tennessee in this game, breaking
over
Santiago Vescovi's record.
Santi. I miss him a little bit.
And another interesting stat that they said after this game, Zakai Ziegler is only the second player in SEC history since 2010, I think, to have 1,000 points, 600 assists, and 200 steals. The only other player to do that in that stretch is Alex Caruso, who is now in the NBA and tearing it up, really. But man, this was definitely a night that Zakai was feeling good. Jordan Gainey, really love what I saw from him as well. Cade Phillips with a fantastic game as well, finishing in double figures. And then you mentioned it, Jabari Meshack, 5 of 5 from the field, 1 of 1 from a 3-point line. He's going to have to get more involved. Not necessarily shooting, but we're starting to see teams, and we saw it especially in this Georgia game.
Well,
they're laying off of him.
Exactly. He's wide open. Like, you have to take it. Like, you can't. And one time he did it and it worked out, but he wasn't being guarded and he still went into the lane, which it did draw in some help, so he was able to kick it out. But like in the future, when you're that wide open, brother, like that's the best look you're gonna have. The best look the offense is gonna have. And I know the dude can shoot. He shoots it great in practice. So we're gonna have to start seeing that come out in the game and make the defense respect it. And then that way, because I think that's what's hurting Chaz as well. I do, because they're able to play off that pick and roll a lot better. And they're able to, our lob and alley-oop dunks, whatnot, they're able to play that a lot better when they're not having to guard one of the guys right. So it's 4-on-5 basically. But no, I completely agree with you. Jabari Meshack, and he's got it. It's not like it's not there and we're forcing it. We're not asking him to change. We just need him to be a little bit more aggressive, right?
Yeah. But you want to know what one of my favorite plays from this game was?
What's that?
It was the play where Igor Milicic had the ball on the block. Jabari Meshack recognizes that his defender left him trying to help out somewhere else. Cuts to the basket, Milicic with the behind-the-back pass to him for the layup. Just fantastic court vision for Milicic. Fantastic recognition by Meshack, knowing that he had the lane. Just all around fantastic play.
Well, look, at the end of the day, you had a home game. You protected home court, and we moved on to Vanderbilt, which was another entertaining game. Chad said that play was nasty. Yes, it was. Got a lot of folks watching. Be sure to click over to the YouTube at one point if you got the chance, because we've got several people watching on other platforms. Be sure to click that subscribe button. Help us out. We're trying to get to 400. We're like literally 8 away. I think we're at like 391, 392 or something like that. If y'all could just go over there, click subscribe. We don't send you emails or anything. It's completely free. It helps us out a lot. But it would be cool to get to 500 before football season. So we're trying to push that. Thank you guys so much. But no, we went to Vanderbilt, obviously 1-point game once again. And I was right. It was almost the exact same score as the ladies, as it was 76-75. And here's where I say, even though Chaz Lanier had a better game, right? They still game plan for it. And you've got to, one, not get into foul trouble. That was literally the biggest problem in this game. Vanderbilt was able to get to a lead that they were able to get to, especially right before halftime, because your best players got into foul trouble with 2. And Rick Barnes ain't going to allow somebody to play, and he proved it, because Zakai Ziegler should have been on the court. If you've got 2 fouls in the first half, you're done. You're not playing. Cade Phillips plays with absolutely, I think, the most heart and the most aggression on this team. Gets 2 fouls within it felt like seconds. And that dude's done for the half. Zakai Ziegler gets 2 fouls. He's done for the half. And you've seen exactly what happened the moment Zakai Ziegler went on the court. I'm going to go ahead and say it right now. That's your most important player. I don't think it comes as a surprise. But without ZZ on the court, this offense doesn't click. It's almost like when Dalton Connect wasn't on the court last year. And it's not necessarily that ZZ's creating that many points, but he kind of does. It's just not him scoring it.
No, he does. He's
able to create the points because he is so good at passing the ball out, finding somebody open, and getting them easy buckets. And Jordan Gainey loved him to death, but when you run him at the point, he's just not that creative. He's not that. I don't feel like he's got the handles that Zakai has, and turnovers, right? That's another thing that I want to get at. Turnovers were a big part of this game. Vanderbilt took advantage of it. Again, don't really necessarily feel like Vanderbilt outplayed us or owned us, but man, we made so many mistakes. Got into foul trouble, made a ton of turnovers, just a little bit careless with the basketball at times. And you got to credit to Vanderbilt for taking, advantage of that. But overall, I still feel like we were the better team, but we didn't play like it. And so going to have to regroup. But foul trouble, cannot have that. And then also when the three isn't hitting or your leading scorer isn't hitting, that's when you really need. And again, they got into foul trouble, but you got to have Okpara step up, Cade Phillips step up, play that inside, that post really well. I feel like we were missing that a lot yesterday in this game.
That's kind of where I'll disagree with you. So now, Cade Phillips, yes, he kind of knows
defensively they play great.
Okay,
but we don't have that post presence offensively. And how many hook shots did you see? How many little floaters did you see? I didn't see a lot.
Look, I'll give you that. That part of the offensive game we need to see a development with.
And that's
But Felix Okpara, man, 16 points on the night, 7-7 shooting. Now, granted, I think 14 of those points were off of lobs from Ziegler. I do know that
in the fourth or second half, but yeah,
now
because that's how they got back in the game.
I do know that Okpara, he did have one hook shot that went in, and it was fantastic.
I believe it was early in the game.
It was second half.
It was second half? Okay, my fault.
Yeah, it was second half. But I do think that we had that post presence that we needed. But I also agree with you that we need to see it more of get it down to the post, turn around and score, and not just come off the lob, because teams are starting to recognize that and they're game planning for that. And I was going to come on here. We talked about it a little bit yesterday, how, Chaz is soft, which that layup at the end, it was soft.
I'm not going to say he's soft, but that was soft.
You got to go up strong with that. But,
give a pump fake, dog. It wasn't like it was the last second. You could have easily gave him a pump fake because you had him beat. That would have worked to perfection. He would have went up. You would have then got fouled because you would have went up after he jumped. I don't know. Obviously, hindsight's 2020, but I just can't go up that soft, dude. Game on the line. We put the ball in our playmakers' hands. I texted you that I felt like it should have been in ZZ's hands, just because that is your shot creator. So I was a little frustrated with that, but even after all that, man, you had the chance.
I will say this. I agree with you that I think the ball needs to be in Ziegler's hands in the big moments, but Rick Barnes drew up a play that worked to perfection. You got the look that you wanted. Ultimately, you just didn't finish it. But then you got, Vanderbilt got the rebound. You fouled him. Missed the front end of the 1-and-1 down there. You call a timeout. You get the play that you I'm sorry.
You're missing it up. They missed the 1-on-1. We got the rebound.
Got the rebound and got fouled. That's what it was.
Which is insane that Vanderbilt did that.
Yes.
Vanderbilt tried to lose this game, dude. I'm telling you. And we still couldn't make it happen. Because why, Michael? Justin said it.
HYFT. Now, I will say.
And you had your shooter on the line, bro. Like this should have been cake. And we didn't.
For the most part, they hit the free throws in this game. 17 of 21. 81%. In most games, that's going to win you a ball game. But when you miss the one that counts, I mean, that's what hurts.
And I think it hurts worse because you missed it after you just made it. And free throws is so muscle memory, right? And you switched the first one. It wasn't even like it was a doubter. Like, it didn't bounce around the rim. So it's like, okay, dude, you hit one. Not that the pressure's off because you still had to hit the second one, but it's like, just do the same routine, do the same thing, and you already just did it. It's not like it was your first shot and you missed. Like, I don't know. I always feel like it's almost a little bit more excusable to miss the first free throw than the second one, just because I don't know. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know.
So I want to pull up Chad's comment here, and I want to highlight one part of it here. So he said we had 3 players score. It was actually 16 points, and then Chaz.
I know which one you're highlighting.
And Chaz scored 17, and it wasn't 19. We do need points from Gainey. We need it from Meshack. Gainey only had 5. Meshack had 2. And Dubois.
I knew that's where you were going. Well, I kind of blame this on Rick Barnes. I mean, how many minutes did he play?
Thank you. Yeah. I'm glad that you brought it up. I know that Darlington DeBar is not great on defense yet, and that's what Rick Barnes prides his players on is defense. Man, Darlington DeBar is
played 11
guy
minutes.
He played 7 minutes.
Oh yeah. I'm looking at the wrong. He only played 11 at Georgia. So that's
he
my
played.
fault.
He played 7 minutes in this game, and I think this guy is your second best scorer on the team
because he can score from all 3 levels.
Yes, and we've seen him. He has made some outstanding plays in past games that I'll be totally honest, if he doesn't make, Tennessee doesn't win a ball game. The Illinois game, for instance, he made some plays in that game that led to us having a chance for the last second layup to win the ball game.
Yeah, Darlinstone DeBar, the second least amount of minutes played behind Bishop Boswell, who had 2 minutes. DeBar had 7. How many fouls did he have? He didn't have.
He had 0 fouls. He had 2 rebounds and 3 points in 7 minutes of play.
And in a game where you have foul trouble, how in the world do you not find out a way to get him at least 10 minutes? I mean, to me, this is almost like there's something else going on, because the dude literally was just talking about how it was before the Georgia game. Was it Texas or whoever, maybe Mississippi State? I don't know. He was just talking about, I mean, because he hit a 3. It was a clutch 3 in one of the games. I'm so sorry that it's leaving me.
It was the Texas game, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, and he's just like, dude, the guy got it to me. Like, I was feeling it. I'm like, dude, finally, we have another player that knows when he like needs to shoot the ball. And then it's like, haven't heard from him since. And that's frustrating to me, because I don't even know if that's necessarily something he's doing in a game, or if it's something he's doing in practice that's punishing him from being able to play in a game. I don't know.
Like I said,
it's just
I can tell you what it is. It's the defense, man. The defensive side of it is what is causing him not to get the court time that he probably deserves.
But it's not like our defense is playing good without him anyways. You gave up 76 to Vanderbilt, which I believe is the most you've given up in the season. Am I wrong on that? I believe that's very accurate. Hang on. Do I have the thing where I can see all the scores? I'm so sorry. This is bad for podcast. 76 to Vanderbilt. You lost to Florida. They scored 73. You've given up. Yeah, I think that's literally the most points you've given up in a season.
Yeah, I thought there was one game that they gave up more, but that's right.
I'm telling you, I'm spot on with my stats here.
No,
you give up 76 to Vanderbilt, and that's the most points you've given up all year long. Like, at that point, I think you got to sacrifice putting somebody that might give up a point or two, but by God, he's at least going to give you another tool on the offense. I think we've given up 70 plus.
Yeah, we've given up 70 plus a couple of times, but
yeah,
definitely
Syracuse scored 70.
I mean, Florida scored 70. Texas scored 70.
So it's the first time we gave up more than. I guess that's what 70 plus means. Yes, that's correct. So yeah, I don't know. It's frustrating because we're so good on defense, and I get it. That's why he's not playing. But we are so bad on offense at times that it. I mean, how many stretches did we go in this game? 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 7 minutes without a bucket, dude.
It's the same story, different verse, man, that we've seen the whole time. You've got to have scores. And at times, I don't know how you can sacrifice defense for scoring.
I mean, look at Alabama and Kentucky. 2 years in a row now, they've scored 100-something points in their games. Yeah, they suck at defense. But by God, if they need a 3, it doesn't matter who they're passing it to. They can hit the shot. Like, I just feel like we need a little bit more of that on our team.
Yeah, and I'm also going to say you're going to have to change some things on offense. You're going to have to the pick and roll is great, but you got to have more actions coming from it. You can't just rely on coming off the pick and roll and then kicking for a 3, pick and roll and then going for the lob. You're going to have to do some other actions on offense to get players open. And you can't just I mean, Chad brought it up earlier. You cannot just rely on Kaz to score. I mean, you've got other scorers on this team, and I feel like if you have other guys score, that's going to open up Chaz to be able to score the basketball. And I really think that I mean, I've been saying it for 2 weeks now, man. You're going to have to get Dubar involved. He is that guy that can score.
Maybe he's a hidden weapon. And here's why I say this. Let's talk about, I'm done hitting the nail on the head on this game. I think it is what it is. You look at the 4-game stretch coming up for the men's. I mean, this next 2-week stretch, 2 to 3 week stretch, by far the most important for Tennessee basketball, men's and women's, in my opinion. You got Mississippi State at home coming up. What is that, the 21st? That's Tuesday. So you got Mississippi State, number 15th ranked in the country. You got to protect home court. Yes, I'm predicting a top 15 win. You've got to win that game.
Yep.
You're then going to the first game day experience in college basketball at Auburn, number 1, without Janai Broome. And it has proven to not even matter.
I was going to say that does not matter at all.
You just lost the best player in college basketball, and they have literally played better. On like, it is insane how Auburn's playing right now. And it's probably my fault because the moment he went down, I immediately bet on who did they play lately? Was it Alabama?
Well, they played Georgia Georgia yesterday.
Georgia played them good, but they played Alabama or somebody. They played it wasn't Alabama. They played somebody, and I bet on them because I'm like, dude, they don't have Broome. They're gonna lose. But nope.
Oh, it was let's see, Auburn last 5. It was
like 2 games ago. It was the game after he got hurt.
Mississippi State.
Yeah, it was a ranked matchup. That's
dominated
right.
them.
Yeah, and I'm like, no. Mississippi State's a good team. Like, they got it. No, it's my fault because I bet on it. But look, you've got Mississippi State. You go at Auburn, and then you have home games versus Kentucky and Florida. You're at home 3 of the next 4 games against some of the best competition. What say you? All right, so we starting.
Look, they're not going undefeated.
It's not going undefeated. It's basketball. It's not going to happen. 3-1, 2-2, 1-3. Start bench cut. What say you? By the way, 3 of these games are at home.
Look, I'm going to start 2-2. I'm going to bench 3-1, and I'm going to cut 1-3. I do think that you drop one of those games at home. I'm going to say that you drop the Auburn game, but you win the other 2 at home.
Okay. So I'm going to disagree, but it's because I am wearing the homer hat here, and I've got to hope that, Chad, I get you. That's my sole point there, dude, Chad. I'm going 3-1 start, benching 2-2. You got to protect home court. And even if you drop one home game, then you better prove yourself at Auburn.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to go 3-1, and that's another reason. You've got a revenge game against Florida. To me, that better be a win. You got Auburn on the road without Janai Broome. That needs to be a win, especially to boost your resume. Mississippi State, I feel good about. Not great. I feel good about. And then Kentucky. Kentucky, dude. That's a win. So, I think
once again, Justin agrees with me. So 2-2.
I don't care, dude. That's the first time Justin. Well, you say once again, Justin hasn't agreed with you in the last month and a half. I don't even want to hear it. So
yeah, but he's got a history of agreeing with me though.
History, brother. That's all you can talk about because here in the present, he hasn't been agreeing with you. So no,
that's because I've been picking against the Longhorns.
Chad says Florida by 100, and I completely agree. You have to make a statement game in a response to Florida because the way they absolutely drug you. I would say in the Swamp, but I don't know what they call their arena. Anyways, I got to start 3-1, bench 2-2, and you better not go 1-3. If you're 1-3, you're not winning the SEC. You're not even going to be a 2 seed in the tournament, and I don't even know if you'd be a 3 seed in the tournament. So I mean, you've got to go 2-2. I would really hope they go 3-1 and really assert themselves back up to the top of the standings, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts on the upcoming games. Mississippi State concerns me because I feel like they found something against Ole Miss. They've got some secondary scorers now, and not just Josh Hubbard, who's an absolute dog, by the way. But I feel like that game has got the capability to really put us on pins and needles. But I do think Tennessee comes out with a win. Auburn, man, Janai Broome being out, it doesn't matter. They've got Chad Baker-Mazara, who is averaging 13 points on the season. He's playing really good. Pettiford is playing really good as well. My X-factor player for this Auburn team, though, is Denver Jones. He is all over the place on the boards, around the basket. Dude he's really good. And then you can't forget Chaney Johnson coming off the bench, who's probably competing with Jordan Gainey for that 6th man of the year in the SEC.
Yeah.
I mean, that team, they're really good, and they seem to have Tennessee's number, whether it's at home or on the road. I mean, Bruce Pearl is a fantastic coach. Now, would I want him over Rick Barnes? No, I wouldn't.
No. Well, and Rick Barnes has proven that he kind of sits at the same table, if not kind of had his number a little bit, but I would say Bruce Pearl is the X factor for me.
Yeah.
Not even just as players. I think Bruce Pearl, I just had that much respect for him. And I, granted the history between Tennessee, so be it, whatever. I still think Bruce Pearl knows ball and he puts his guys in the best position to win. And I think that's going to give us fits, but I got to hope Tennessee's best game is still out there. And I don't think we've seen it. And
no, we absolutely have not seen it. And that was my point earlier with the women's is, we need to start figuring some things out now.
Yeah, exactly.
It's I'm not right now.
And I'm not saying get hot, but like show me the potential that I know this team has. Put it on paper so we can at least like expect this in the postseason. Like give me something. Because you see glimpses of it. You see runs of it.
Mm-hmm.
But like, can we put it together all the way through? Football couldn't. And that's why you've seen them get drug in Columbus. Basketball so far hasn't been able to. That's why you see them get drug in the puddle. No, I'm just, like I said, I think I'm betting on the team getting better as the season progresses. Because like I said, if they don't, I have to be a realist and knowing that maybe we're not top of the country. But I don't want to think that yet because I do think we have the potential to be top of the country. So hell, we were number 1 for a month. So and don't tell me it's because it was a cupcake schedule because Illinois is a daggone good team. And there's several other teams that we beat that are solid. But didn't have the respect back then that they do now. So overall, Justin said the best is yet to come. I have to agree with that. And I'm going to finish my thoughts, man. 3-1, you in both of our opinions, you can't go worse than 2-2 this stretch, right?
And I don't think you will.
And I think that's for both like men's and women's as far as SEC because the women's has that UConn game kind of stuck right there in the middle of it. But yeah, I think, and this is if we want to stay in contention with the SEC. Now, obviously our goals are still out there even if you don't win the SEC, but man, you're in a better position. You're in a better bracket if you can find a way to win in the best conference. It's proven to be the best conference. Could you imagine being the winner this year of the SEC with all the hype that happened, in the non-conference? I mean, they would be undoubtedly the number 1 seed, number 1 overall, probably just being able to win that conference and how good these teams are.
Yeah. One thing I will say about Tennessee is you've got to continue to win on the boards. You lost on the boards against Vanderbilt, and that's what cost you the game.
Physicality.
Yeah, but I think rebounding is a big thing with that because that Florida game, it was all physicality, all rebounding. You're gonna have to play with better physicality, no matter who you play. And I think if you out physical teams, that's when you see Tennessee's true potential come out. But
stay out of foul trouble. Stupid fouls.
That
Stupid
too.
fouls.
You got anything else on Tennessee basketball before we move forward?
No, man. Let's move forward. We're on a good pace. We got to keep it up.
Yeah, absolutely. So. Our segment 3 sponsor, is Kaizen Painting. Do you want a colorful life? Kaizen is a painting and drywall company that provides residential, commercial, exterior, and interior services. At Kaizen Painting, we understand the importance of a beautifully painted home and properly installed and repaired drywall. We're here to bring your vision to life. We care about providing you with a personalized, efficient, and quality service. If you live in Knoxville and surroundings, contact us for a free estimate at KaizenPainting.com. Color your life the Kaizen way. So, Skylar, I will give it up to you to make this decision. Do we want to talk about Tennessee first, portal, recruiting, all that stuff, or do we want to go ahead and talk about this national title game that we got coming up tomorrow night?
Now, we say that to the end. Let's go ahead and talk about, we're going to lump this both in the same segment here. But I mean, the portal news shouldn't take but about 5-10 minutes, in my opinion, right? It's the only thing that happened.
Yep.
Okay. I want to show you guys what the latest is because, Josh Heupel doesn't know how to coach anymore. We're just losing a bunch of players. Portal sucks. Like we losing everybody. We're not going to have anybody on offense, basically, is what I'm hearing coming up for next season. But coach is cooking. All right, we got to let him cook. Let me go to my back here. Let me pull it up. Sorry, it's a new program that I'm still trying to figure it out, but boom. Tennessee lands transfer running back Star Thomas from Duke, who tallied over 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns this year. Duke will join the running back rotation with Peyton Lewis and Deshaun Bishop. He's a great passing back. out of the backfield. He's quick. But overall, I think he's a much needed piece in this room because I think he fits the style of play that Josh Heupel is going to run here at the University of Tennessee. Here's just a couple of highlights. These are both kind of, I don't know. I think he is a perfect fit for the room. And what I mean by that is I don't think he's your number one, but I think he is a really good fit in the room. I guess that's the best way I can put it. Ship is sinking, I've heard. Yes, you would not believe it. But Star Thomas, what I'm getting at is I truly believe at some point in the season, Peyton Lewis is probably going to be your number one. I have to believe that.
I don't disagree with that.
I think Bishop is going to be great. I think Peyton Lewis's ceiling is higher. I think Star Thomas could be right there, kind of like the difference between Jabari Small and Jalen Wright, right? Like it's just they really are well together. I think this is what you're going to see out of this 3-back rotation, and we need that. We've always had. Think about it. When we were really good, we had more than one back. We had more than 2 backs. We were really good this year, and somehow really only had 1 back. And you kind of forced Peyton Lewis into some playing time, and I think he was kind of planning on redshirting. And Deshaun Bishop stepped in when Cam Seldon got hurt, and then ultimately wanted to transfer out. So,
look, is this not the absolute perfect fit for this team in more than one way?
What I'm getting at.
I was going to say in more than one way. You mentioned his skill set and how he fits into this room and stuff, but we talked about it earlier this year what this team needs, and we said you need a depth piece. And I think this is that perfect depth piece. He's not going to come in here and be Dylan Sampson.
No,
he's not.
And that's what I want to try to lay that precedent down. I don't think he's that kind of guy. Now, he could prove to be that kind of guy, but I think Peyton Lewis, I think you might, if you have your hopes up for Peyton Lewis to be that guy, I think you're going to be right more than wrong, at least with that one. But I think you're right. I mean, I think we are right in the fact that the style of offense that Duke ran, I think fits the style of offense that we're running. And we've been wanting to see it a little bit more often, but the passing game with the running back, Alvin Kamara type player, we need that, and I think this guy can give that.
Yeah, I mean,
aspect to you.
I would compare this guy. You brought it up. I would compare him to Jabari Small. He's not the best running back, but he gives you that threat out of the backfield. We saw Jabari Small do that a bunch. He's a really good pass blocker from what I've seen. Jabari Small was a good pass blocker as well. And then he doesn't have just breakaway speed, but if he gets in an open field, it's going to be hard to catch him, like Jabari Small. This is the perfect fit, in my opinion. And I think you're going to see a really good 3-back rotation like we saw with Jalen Wright, with Jabari Small, and Dylan Sampson. And then even going back before then, Tyon Evans with Jabari Small and Jalen Wright. I think that this is an absolute perfect fit for Tennessee, and it's that depth piece that we were talking about because now that you have this third guy, you don't have to rely on a true freshman coming in and being that third guy. It gives them time to develop a little bit going into next season.
Yeah, Chad says, are we going to fix the offensive play calling, or is Halsley going to continue to be predictable all season? Valid question. All right. Here's my
two things here. 2 things here. All right. 1, Halsley is not calling all the plays.
Exactly. 2,
Heupel is the play caller, and he is, Halsley is just helping him. He's the eyes in the sky. All right.
Just like Alice Gola, she was a tight ends coach that helped Josh Heupel. 2, if it's the same 2.
2, it's not all on the play call.
Thank you. How many times did somebody actually bust out wide open and either we didn't even throw it to him or we missed it?
Exactly. It happened way more often.
This is why. And it happened in season 1 under Hendon Hooker too. People don't want to remember that because we went 7-6 and our expectation that year was to win 3 games. So people don't tend to remember that. But going into year 2 for Nico, I don't think that's going to be an issue. I think he's going to have a lot more composure and just overall, what's the word I'm looking? Confident. He's going to be a lot more confident and seeing he's going to be able to see the field a lot better. It's year 2 for him. Dude, he's a redshirt freshman stepping in right after a 6-year senior was the starter of the team. So I think overall, I think we'll be okay. Now, play calling was an issue. I don't think it's the whole issue, and I think play calling will look better when we actually hit the way I'm sure in practice they do hit on it. So I don't know. Chad, it's a great question, but I'm hoping with Nico's ability to improve his play, it'll look like the offensive play calling got way better.
Look, I'll say this about
without getting better, I guess.
Yeah, I'll say this about the play calling side of things. I do feel like they I feel like they underestimate the play calling at times on both sides of the ball. This year, and I'll even say last year with Joe Milton, they saw a few times where the offense wasn't clicking the way that it needed to. They saw that they weren't having guys create separation the way that they were expecting it to.
Yeah.
So they go with a very basic play call to try to have success with that. Same thing on the opposite side of the ball until this year, and I'll even say last year at times. The defense was very vanilla, and you saw a lot of zone blitzes playing zone defense in the back end because, quote, Tim Banks doesn't have his guys. Well, we also saw at times this year on defense where Tim Banks has got his guys, and that defense is playing well, but then they change some things because we don't quite feel like we can measure up to the competition that we're playing.
Yeah.
That's where I feel like they underestimate the play call, or they underestimate the guys that they have, so they go to a vanilla play call. That's where I'm at with the play calling. I feel like you still got to be experimental with it. You still got to take some risk with that play call.
Yep. Just a couple of things real quick. Miscellaneous news. I stopped sharing the screen, but I probably need to bring that back up because this is some big news.
Go for it.
The new voice of the Vols, baby. I don't know how we haven't talked about this. Let me share the screen. Boom.
We talked about it last week.
Did we?
Yeah,
you're right.
We brought up his video.
Okay. You're 100% right. So Mike Keith, voice of the Vols, big deal. But lastly, I think the other miscellaneous news is Gerard McCoy, star cornerback. Going through some off-season training and tears his ACL. Now, that sucks. But I think he should be able to be back and at least not 100%, but healthy enough to play for the season. Now, I know this coaching staff, not personally, but they're going to say he's day-to-day or available to play in game 1, and he's probably not going to play until the Georgia game. So, I hope his recovery goes well. It affects everybody a little bit different, but he's probably not going to be in spring training. He's not going to be a part of summer camp. We'll see. We'll see about fall camp. We will see. But overall, just wanted to get the news out that he did tear his ACL in a non-contact training. And there's been a lot of say, like, why is he training to the point to where he can tear his ACL? Guys, that you could tear your ACL walking down the sidewalk. Like, it is what it is. I'm proud that he's not sitting at home playing Call of Duty. Like, he's literally working for next season because he knows that he's got that type of ability to be a second-round pick as a cornerback at Tennessee. Like, I'm not even joking by saying that. It's just one of those things where it's a freak accident. I'm glad it happened now rather than in the summer.
Yes.
So that way he can have the ability to play this season. But we will see moving forward. I just wanted to get that news out there. And then now it's time for the fun.
Well, a couple things that I have, one, some concerns that Tennessee fans had in the offseason. Tim Banks possibly taking another job. That's not happening. He has signed an extension to be Tennessee's defensive coordinator.
Hey, I'm okay with that, actually. I love it for 2 reasons. One, I feel like he is a good defensive coordinator, one of the best defenses in the league the last couple seasons. 2, we always talk about stability in a room, coaching room. And if you can instill that as a coaching, if you can instill the stability from a coaching perspective, you now lay the foundation of you're building that stability within the locker room as well. So I like it for multiple reasons. Did we get cooked? It felt like a couple of games, yes, but I felt like it felt worse just because we couldn't do anything on offense. So overall, I'm okay with this. I would hope that everybody else is, but of course, you've got some folks that are not in agreement, and that's okay. You can't please everybody unless you sell ice cream. So
and then we also had 5 recruits that are coming in next season that played in the Polynesian Bowl. I don't have any highlights from that, but I do know Deshaun Brom, tight end, caught a touchdown pass in the game. George McIntyre had a fantastic game. David Sanders showing why he is a 5-star. Travis Smith Jr. also played in the game, and then Ethan Utley played as well. So Vols,
Ethan
showing
there's several of those players that you will see in the fall playing meaningful snaps. And in my opinion, David Sanders jumps out. Travis Smith has a real opportunity.
Day one starter, David Sanders.
Yeah, 100%. Ethan Utley, I think you're going to see play on the defensive line day one. Yep. He won't be a number one, I don't think, but he's going to be subbing about 12 to 16 of those guys in every game. So I think he has an absolute opportunity to play day one. Deshaun Brom, probably not. I don't know if his last name is Brom or Bram, and I apologize a million.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But that's a stacked tight end room this year with Miles Cutselman coming back. So I don't know if he'll be able to play day one. But Travis Smith, dude, in that wide receiver room, he has an absolute opportunity to play early. I'm not going to say he's playing meaningful stats, but I think you'll see him in the rotation, especially early in the season. If we get up in a big lead, I think you'll get to see maybe a glimpse of him and see what he can offer you as we need all the depth we can get in that wide receiver room. So
yeah, and last thing I've got, I don't think we've talked about it since this news came out, but Amari Jefferson.
TikTok shut down.
Well, that too, but we won't talk about it.
I think it's back. It's fine. Amari Jefferson. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, Amari Jefferson, wide receiver from Alabama. He is. He's coming back to Tennessee.
Is he playing baseball?
I have not seen.
He was a two-sport athlete, and that was very important in his recruitment process. So I didn't know if it had come out that he was playing baseball this year with Tony V or not.
Yeah, I have not seen that for sure. So I don't know.
I haven't seen it on the baseball pages because you would think baseball, you would think so. Like, hey, we're getting a transfer, but I haven't seen that. So I wonder if he's almost been talked out of doing two sports. And I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that works out. But I know that was a big emphasis on his recruitment last year when he chose Alabama, which was crazy because we were winning the World Series. I don't know. Whatever. It's fine. It's fine. He didn't know that, I don't think.
Yeah. But speaking of baseball, this is all we'll mention. But baseball less than a month away.
Why is that all we'll mention? We can talk about basketball when it's football season. Why can't we talk about baseball?
Well, I barely talked about basketball.
No, but you still did it. You would ask for permission because you knew you wouldn't allow to.
Look, you got 30 seconds to talk about baseball, okay?
Baseball bad, dude. Tony B is my dad, dude. I swear I'll talk about baseball anytime I want. No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
TikTok is back, boys. Yeah, I hate why it was taken down, but I also think grown adults were acting pretty crazy about an app shutting down.
A shout out to you for your post that you put on Facebook, by the way. You spoke the absolute truth.
Right.
And my wife said so as well. She wanted me to make sure that you knew that.
Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah. A shameless plug to the Facebook. Yeah. I offended a lot of people, by the way, but I think they were trying to take what my point was out of context and make it political and stuff like that. Exactly right. But I was more talking about the fact that there's people out there that are so addicted to this app that it is a shame how they react when it gets taken away from them. So I did say something. I do feel like it was strictly factual, but it could be opinionated, but it was my opinion based on what I was seeing on my Facebook feed because Facebook got really famous for like 12 hours when TikTok shut down.
Yeah. Speaking of TikTok, by the way, just go down, do us a favor and follow.
By the way,
just a little plug there.
I can't get in. I can't get into my TikTok because I deleted the app. So now that it's back, it's not on the App Store, so I can't re-download it. That's so cool. Oh no. Yeah, it is what it is. But yes, I don't mind TikTok. You can't let it consume you. Is all I'm getting at. And anyways, Chad says, what's TikTok? It's the clock on the wall and like the hand just keeps moving. It's like tick tock, tick tock. No, I'm joking. Anyways, no, I appreciate the shout out there. I did stir some feedback, but I think people were just misconstruing like what I was trying to hint at. But let's get to the fun part of the show so we can wrap this thing up. We've got picks, but it's really just a pick. It is the national championship game happening tomorrow night.
Yeah. So before I pull up the graphic, this game means everything for this right here. The most important part.
This is insane that we've gone 6 months and it's literally come down to this. This is all you could ask for. This is what we built the podcast on was our picks, our SEC picks. And we've gone the whole season and somehow, some way we are dead tied. Losses don't count. We keep track just for, percentage, maybe a tiebreaker if we had to do that. But, it's all about the wins. And we do that because we do upset pick of the week. And a lot of times you get 5 or I think it's 3 or 5 points or maybe even 1 point, as you see right there in the bottom right of your screen. But no, this is all you can ask for. And we don't pick the same game. In fact, if you've watched our show, a lot of times we will purposely pick the other one, even if we truly feel like that's not the right one. But it just because we don't want to tie in a week. Like, no, then what's the point of picking if we're going to pick the same game? So it's all come down to this. I think we are going to pick the same team in this game.
I've got something to ask you here, because you kind of alluded to it last week.
All right.
How much do you think Ohio State wins by in this game?
I think they cover.
Up to how much?
I'm comfortable with 10. I'm comfortable with 10. I'm comfortable with 10. If I was betting on it, I would not go really much higher than that, just because Notre Dame has that style of play to keep somebody close.
So would you be okay if we set a custom line at 10.5 in this game?
I mean, it's both of us, so I don't care. Or you're wanting to pick the other? That's what you're wanting to do.
Look, I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I'm picking Ohio State to win the game.
Sure, me too.
I'm going to pick I'm going to pick Notre Dame to keep it within 10.
I feel like if we're doing that, we should just go with the line, though. That way it's not a line that we made up.
Okay.
Right? So you're picking Notre Dame to only lose by a touchdown, basically.
Yeah. I think that it's going to be a close game. This game's going to either go one of two ways. It's going to be Ohio State close, or it's going to be Ohio State in an absolute blowout. That's the way I think this game is going to go. We've seen both sides of it so far in the postseason. Ohio State just dominated Tennessee.
I could see Ryan Day choking it, though. I could absolutely see Ryan Day choking this. Because in their mind, Notre Dame's not near as. And I said this several weeks ago, and I think I reiterated it last week. It's almost like the level of competition really and I guess you could say it's different between Tennessee and Oregon, and that's fair. But it's almost like the competition's gotten slightly easier really since then. They played Oregon. They then played Texas, in which I would think if you had to pick between the two back then, you would probably choose to play Texas over Oregon just because you had already lost to Oregon earlier that year. And now it's like Notre Dame, and it's like, okay, well, anybody would have chosen to play Notre Dame more than Ohio State, Oregon, any of those teams. And so I'm interested. I think Ohio State is the better team, 100%.
Yes, absolutely.
But I do feel like Marcus Freeman's coached his way very well, has outcoached every opponent they played this year in the playoff. Because he has not outcoached every team that he's played.
How do you think Brian Kelly and LSU feels right now, seeing Marcus Freeman?
You can't win a national championship at Notre Dame. I think that's why they're going to win. But that would be the only reason why I would pick Notre Dame in this game, I think. I just feel like at the end of the day, Ohio State's got more dogs, all right? Yeah. And we've seen them not perform, but that's, I think, from a coaching standpoint. I think if the coaches put these players in position to play and give them the ball quick and early and let them go make plays, Ohio State wins this in a freaking marathon in the first quarter. Like, I honestly could see them pulling out 21-0 in the first if that's how they come out and play. But Notre Dame's defense has proven to be really good. Their offense, I just think, really isn't that good. I think they have a great running back. I do. I don't want to discredit anything he's done, but their quarterback, I feel like they're only as good as if he's involved in the running game. And if he's shut down in the running game, I can't see him as a passer beating a team straight up. And that's where I stand. Justin Williams says Notre Dame by 10, probably because of the comments I just said. I don't know. I think we got several comments. Chad, Justin, Ohio State crushes Notre Dame, but I agree with Justin. I hope neither wins. All right. So that's the real story right here. And I saw a picture the other day. Look, a new kitten or something.
Exactly. I saw this the other day. Look, people in Ohio want Ohio State to win. Yeah. People in Indiana want Notre Dame to win. The entire rest of the country hopes that a meteor strikes. So.
It's it is what it is. I could care less about the game. I do watch it just because it's the final college football game of the year, or of the season, I should say. And I love college football way more than I love NFL. I didn't even watch the first playoff game, literally all season, all playoffs, I guess, for the NFL, just because I enjoy college way more. But all right, let's make our picks. We're both picking Ohio State. You're taking Notre Dame to cover, and I'm taking Ohio State to cover, and that is what is going to be what decides the winner.
Basically, if Ohio State wins by more than 8 points, you win this. If Notre Dame keeps it within a touchdown or wins the game, I win this. That's what it's coming down to.
I like that. That's a very easy tiebreaker. It's not like we
Yes.
both picked Ohio State, both picked them to cover, and it's like, okay, well, how much are they going to win by? And I'd have been like, I don't know, as much as they want to, really. I mean, it's just whatever that depends. But no,
Now,
okay, I like it. I like it.
I will say this right here. I think for
I like
Notre
your
Dame,
chances, though.
I think for Notre Dame to have a shot in this game, they've got to keep it under what FanDuel has a total set at, which is at 45.5 right now.
All right.
It's got to be a low scoring game for Notre Dame to have a chance, because if it turns into a shootout, then Ohio State is going to win this game. There's no doubt about it.
I feel like if Notre Dame wins outright, we both should lose, and we both should just tie and end it on that. And we go golfing, but we both just cover our own.
That's fair. That's fair.
Because I just don't feel like anybody should benefit if Notre Dame wins. So
that's true. I mean, we both did say on record we think Ohio State wins.
Yeah. So if Notre Dame comes out and wins, just know I'm crying, because at that point I can play golf with anybody. I'm not getting free golf, so it's fine. It's fine. But I do feel like if they win, we still have to go golf. We have to document that we did it.
Yeah.
And then we just both have to pay for our own round.
And look, we've been talking about going golfing together for a year. It never works out.
That's right.
Ohio
Well,
State
if this were to
28, Notre
happen,
Dame
you would
24.
be getting a free round of golf. Ohio State by 4. I don't know. I won't be betting $1 on this game just because I have no idea. Well, I take that back. I will probably bet a couple of dollars on this game just to take Ohio State money line. But I don't know the spread issue. I think Ohio State's proven that they can beat the best teams by 2 touchdowns. But I feel like Notre Dame is a lot like Texas, sort of. I guess the way they play defense, offense kind of does just enough. And Texas was going to tie the game at the end of the game. Like, it's not like they got blown out. Of course, the final score was by 2 touchdowns, but that's because Sawyer was not scoring when he got the scoop. Like, he was going all the way, which we are happy about that. We made some money on it. But no, all right. I like it. Ohio State wins. They cover. I am in great shape. They don't cover. You're in great shape. And if Notre Dame wins outright, we both lose. I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I do like that. I will say this, so because it's a championship game, FanDuel is allowing, like, you can bet on anytime touchdown scores. I think some free money here is Jeremiah Smith minus 130 for anytime touchdown score. I think that's free money.
That's fair. And Chad, this is what I'm getting at. They had the toughest path and absolutely ran through every team. Yes, exactly. That's the reason why I feel like they could lose this game. Like, seriously, on top of it being Ryan Day, like, as an Ohio State fan, you almost feel like you've already won the Natty. Almost. Some of them are like, no, even if we win the Natty, we still lost to Michigan.
Yeah.
But I don't know. They got to go finish. It doesn't matter what you did to every team up until this game. Literally none of that matters. You're here. Notre Dame's there. Let's see what happens, man. I mean, I'll watch it, but I really don't care about it. I don't care who wins.
I don't have an interest in who wins this game, but
I have an interest in Ohio State just because I want to go golfing. Like, I do want them to win by 10, I guess. But it's not like if Notre Dame wins, I'm like, Brian. I would actually like that. I would make so many memes about Brian Kelly, bro. So
exactly.
For real. No.
But no, look, ultimately, football is better than no football, and we're getting football tomorrow night.
That's right. It's been a great show, dude. You got anything else to wrap this thing up before I got to get off here and order some pizza, I guess. My wife's watching, so I got to be careful.
No, the only other thing that I have is, we talked about we are going to be keeping football segments. So stay tuned over the next few weeks. Skylar and I are going to go back and
I like this.
We're
review
going,
how we did.
Yeah, we're going to look how we did picking the SEC teams over the season. We're going to be comparing what our record predictions were to what actually happened on the season.
How are you feeling about that, by the way?
There's only,
dude,
about
I'll be honest with you,
teams that I'm really not confident about.
I was about to say, dude, I'm top of the SEC for the most part. I feel like I nailed. The only one I'm really wrong about was Ole Miss because I thought they were going to win it.
Yeah.
I didn't think they were going to win the playoffs, so I was good there. But I thought that they were going to win the SEC. But I mean, off the top of the head, dude, I nailed Tennessee, nailed Texas, nailed Alabama with 3 losses and took a lot of heat for that. There's several teams that I feel really good about. There's also some teams I don't feel so great about.
I was going to say there's 2,
including this one.
I was going to say there's 3 teams for sure that I'm not feeling good about.
Florida, Vanderbilt,
Vandy, Florida, and South Carolina, I think.
Maybe South Carolina. South Carolina proved a lot of us wrong, I think. And shout out to Shane Beamer. But South Carolina and Florida, same exact kind of storyline, right? You just thought their quarterback or their coach is getting fired. They got a brand new quarterback who ends up being really good and saves the program, saves the coach. At least another year. We'll see how it goes next year. But no, guys.
I was going to say, we'll talk about it as we get into this. But what about no SEC head coaches getting fired this year? When we thought that it could be up to 5.
Yeah, it's going to change next year.
It will, for sure.
Yep. It's all good, guys. We appreciate you being tuned in. Again, guys, we had several, I think over 20 the entire show watching the show. If y'all could please go on YouTube. We're trying to get to 400. Give us a subscribe. Like the show. Click that bell for notifications so you never miss a live show. But we go Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern every single week, barring holiday. And we would love to have y'all join us back. So thank you so much. Mike, you got anything in closing?
Let's get ready for this brutal stretch we got in basketball. And guys,
no more 1-point losses, please.
Yeah, go Big Orange.
All right.